All right, let's get into the divide of the nation that we see happening upon us, and Trump's tree that has been planted and that is growing now. And this is a fast growing tree, and this will tie us to that Third Reich replay and that third realm for that rise of the Son of Man, for the return of the Son of Man, who is the Lord Don. Adonia, by definition, means the Lord, and you are all experiencing the second coming of the Lord. And you've had the war on Jerusalem, and the people of Israel are stuck back in Babylon. That's people in America. And this is why it tells those who are in Judea nation to flee to the mountains, because all hell is about to break loose. And the 2022 I've warned you about is tied to the Revelation 22. Well, now since the veil's been lifted, and we're almost to that 3.5 year mark, the 42 months on the false prophet and such, we got 6 months left of the false prophet. And when that happens, after that, that's when the great tribulation unfolds. And that's when you got the alphabet happening and the 3.5 years left for the 80 years on the generation of Israel, and all these little things that are going to compound. Okay, so that Revelation 22, that 22-year mark that I've all warned you about back in 21, and those things that are going to be coming, that's all coming in hard copy, in a matter of speaking, for 2024, because the 22 and 23 of the 9/11 is in the 24, and we've been waiting for the full official of the 21 to end, which is on New Year's Eve, because that's when 2023 ends. So that would mark the end of the full 21. Okay, so it's all right there, and everything's been stacked up, and that's why the BRICS is set to be pulled by Saudi Arabia and the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, for that 4D vision coming out. And we see the caravan that crossed the street, that's crossing the border, and then that 4D, the Ford red truck, blew up and was smashed by that D cell and different things. But so the stuff that we've seen in Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Gaza, those things, all that's coming to America, to Texas border, Arizona border, California's lower border, probably New Mexico, and we're going to see the northern states too, because we've been seeing an amp up on the Dakotas and the open border in Canada and all those other things. So that would tie to the Army in the north. And we also have the Hudson Bay up there, where the Doomsday spy sub and whatever sub can be coming in up in the Hudson Bay and parking. And anyway, so many things stacking against. So the primary, okay, the primary for that birth has the Sheena Bellows, and she's in Maine. It went from one high place in Colorado, a high state with the mountains, to the high place in Maine, being one of the most northern states. So this is tied to that Army in the north as well. But she's at Sheena. The Sheena is also for the Shi Ping, the Shi China, the Na and Na. And then the bellows, the pings on the bellow, the pings on the bell. And that bell is also tied to the bell worship. And those who are going against the Lord Don and going with the bell worship of that woman, in a matter of speaking. And then you're going to have the bell worship, the people worshiping the law. And then you have the bill worship for the people worshiping capitalism and being in bondage because they don't understand the reset and the big jubilee and all these other things. And there's going to be good socialism coming in. Either way, so different things are setting up for different divides. And she's bringing the white supremacy. That's part of that white throne judgment starting up. And that white supreme is for that pizza and that pizza gate. So that would tie to the Ghislaine Epstein stuff. And the Ghislaine is tied to the second coming. So real quick, Bellows, on her thing, it mentions a first trip to a Women's History Month on March 22. Okay, so she came to Women's History Month or whatever, and she held on, which was held on a meeting with Biden and those things. So 280 days, 281 days later, depending how you count, if you count the day or not count the day, but that's the term of a pregnancy. That's when she comes out and throws Trump to the low place, and she starts a divide in that New England. Okay, so this would be a part of that divide with the restart on the original colonies and such. So that's tying in one birth from one cycle to another cycle. And then it says that she came on a second trip on June 6th, which is going to tie us to April 11th, the 4/11 time frame, for something else to play with this Bellows Trump thing or whatever. And then June 8th, it's connected to a Dustin Czarny, but that's the Czar New York for the knee. The New York is Trump. He's the Manhattan Project. But that ties to another thing with the X-Files and some things coming up for the spring and the spring break. For the May Day event, for Trump's 530 on the full 280 day of his second coming of being taken to the cross, would be 5/30/24. So we can see how from the BRICS being set up on the 1st and taking 47 to 50% of the market, and then the Agenda 47, all right? So that 47% is going to just pull in the rest of the world after that. And then that's when America's taken down in the next 6 months and the false prophets end. And it's going to be like a 2-stage process for the most part, but one's going to bring the other, and the final one's going to bring in the whole thing. And that's where you have the new tree being born, and he's being cast down to the lower parts of the earth, and that divide on the nation is happening, and we see different things happening, and it's going to be fast paced, but the divide of the nation and the corporations taking over America, and the Obama, Biden, that narrative with the shadow government coming in and taking all these things, all right? He's the one coming in and taking his nation to that world stage, who believes that what's put on there. So they're actually believing the fake shit, all right? They don't believe what's real. They believe that down there. So they're the animals that's going to be taken in, because the monkey doesn't know what he's watching. The monkey, the fucking cartoon space monkey that everybody thinks they are, thinks they're floating around in a fucking cartoon space ball. That notion that NASA has showed them. So if you think if they're landing on a transparent moon that is blue and gray, depending on the time of day and night, you can't land on that. And if you think the world is spinning underneath your feet and planes are taking off at this speed and the world's spinning at that speed, how do they catch up with 1,000 mile an hour Earth when it's going however many miles an hour faster? And then how come there's so much shit that proves y'all fucking programmed? It's all programming. If you believe like the world, Jesus said you believe the lie, and you got to seek for the truth. I knew since 8th grade, when Miss Thompson told me in my science class that the stars didn't move because the light was millions of light years away and all this other shit or whatever. That made zero fucking sense to me. And it doesn't make any sense. And you can actually do math that will tell you that the sun is about 3,000 to 4,000 miles up above you. But that doesn't matter and shit. What matters is the people are all fucking monkeys. And what evolution tells you, that's actually what's coming to you. And that's why the RNA has been taken out. The messenger for the DNA. Because light's changing. all these things are coming upon you. You sleep with your animals. There's things coming here and there or whatever. And your DNA is not going to know how to respond to it because your RNA has been affected. And that's why the people who got this, that, and the other, they're saying now is associated with the long game, with the long crown, the long corona. Okay? So that COVID, that long COVID, is pawns on the chessboard that's going to help put that king in check. And cash is king. And there's a new king that's coming. So many things going on here. But Jack Smith, he is tied to the Jack Be Nimble. The Nim belt is tied to the secret of Nim. And that secret of Nim is tied to the nemesis Sheena Bellows. So the Sheena Bellows, the white supremacy, the KKK stuff with Kanye. All right, all these things are going to work together. DeSantis down there in the South Florida and the dirty South, they're going to be the white devils and shit, more than likely. But all these things are going to come out, and it's just going to be for that slay and that slavery, for that Christmas spirit and Satan and Santa and all these different things that are going on. But the Jack is tied to the Justice Department. The Justice, Jesus is Justice. That's another name for him. So this is tied to Jesus coming against the Father in a way. And then you have the 37 counts of indictment, which ties to the 777 and that twin T1, the twin Trump ones for the Trump coming back. And then you have, that was announced 3 days after Trump's 2024 announcement. So this is another 3-day reference for like the being taken down or being taken to the cross, in a matter of speaking. And then it would be also for a sign of Trump's resurrection for when he's going to be rising, because as he's kind of taken down, he's going to be taken up. And this is where he's kind of given a new body and that transfiguration, that kind of thing. And either way. So when he's down in the lower parts of the earth, like now, that's where you're going to see like dark dawn. And then the dark dawn is going to be where he's going to come in and sear the heads of the millennials or a certain age group. And then once that's done, he's going to bring it all together. All right. So either way. So the bell's ringing. Xi Jinping going to take the Taiwan. That's that chip. The chip is tied to the potato. Russia, it has the potato and vodka and all those things. So all goes together. Either way, I guess we'll end it here because Trump's building his tree and he's going to be growing it very fast. And this is where you're going to have that one man coming in to take down the whole nation. And he has basically, he's that Hitler person. And he's coming to claim his nation, his Don nation, his Doe nation. And as he does that, he's been promised his land and those types of things. He just has to get him over there and take him to the promised land. All right. So the promised land we've already seen, and the promised land is going to be coming some more. All right. You're on your last day, in a matter of speaking.